Hey, 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 it's a pleasure to be here and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, and we are so thrilled to do your world premiere of your piece, Locomotion. And so tell us a little bit about this piece.
Yeah, so Locomotion was a piece that I had written back in 2017, near when I was sort of towards the latter half of my degree at TCU. And so I was working on this piece with my teacher, just kind of just for fun. It wasn't for any commission or anything like that, but I just wanted to sort of try to work with an instrumentation that I haven't really worked with before and just sort of toying around with the different sounds and the different possibilities with these combinations. And so, locomotion. So though the reason why it's called that, it's a piece about this idea of intensity and momentum. It's like a locomotive train that is moving, and so there are a lot of intricate parts to make this train move. There's a lot of trade offs between woodwinds and the strings and the piano and the marimba, and so it's really a ride, and that's really it's a piece that is about this kind of energy. So I'm really excited to hear this played.
Great. Well, we're excited to premiere it next week. Now, I want to ask you why you parenthesize the loco in locomotion. There must be a reason why you did that.
Yeah, it's more so loco, meaning like this craziness, because when you listen to this, there's just a lot of things that are moving very fast, and it's a lot of craziness. So part of this motion is having this idea of just things that seem to be out of control, but are actually very controlled within the scheme of the piece.
Right, and the instrumentation is very fascinating to me. You know, the clarinet with the marimba, and then we have the piano with the strings, the violin, viola, and cello. And so it's interesting how you would interplay the different gestures, you know, in the piece with these
Mhm.
different instruments. And I have to tell you, you know, the clarinetist was very perplexed sometimes in his runs. I think you and Peter were talking a few times about, you know, different fingerings and things like that. And um,
Yes.
so it is a challenging work, but so satisfying. And it's so, it's got so much frenetic energy, like you were saying, that
Yeah,
it's
and that
super enjoyable to play.
yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, Peter and I had a couple of conversations about the transposition of the part because it's originally in B flat clarinet, but he told me it worked a lot better as an A clarinet part. So that's what I also love about doing world premieres and collaborations in general. It's just like you get to work with people who like know their craft, know their instrument, and can give you suggestions. Because I'm a brass player, I'm a piano player, I don't know much about clarinet. So it's really nice to have someone who can say, hey, this would work way better if you just did this. And so I'm very much open to those ideas.
Well, besides a composer, you're also a conductor and, like you mentioned, a pianist, but you're a jazz pianist and a fantastic one, I have to say. But you're
Thank you.
also a producer and you play different wind instruments too. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your background in music and how you got to learn all these instruments and what inspired you to do that?
Sure thing. So my initial contact to music was through my parents. My dad used to be a hip hop producer in the late 1980s and to early 1990s in Southern California. And my mom was a gospel singer from West Virginia. And so a lot of the music I grew up in were those two worlds. I was immersed in the worlds of like Blackstreet, Jodeci, Tupac Shakur, Notorious B.I.G. on the one hand, and on the other hand, I was listening to things, you know, Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, Ty Tribbett, things like that. And so I grew up in very much with those worlds being part of my sound and just a part of what I was always around. And so I decided I wanted to join the band loosely through seeing the movie Drumline, if you know what that movie is from a long time ago. And I wanted to be a saxophonist initially because I was just like, oh, that looks so cool, and I would love to be able to do that. And so I get to the audition as a sixth grader, and they're like, "Oh, we have too many saxophones," which seems to be a thing, like having too many saxophones. So they wanted to put me on a brass instrument, and they ended up giving me this horn called a euphonium. And at the time, I had no idea what this horn was. I was just like, "What is this?" But it ended up being the instrument that I ultimately fell in love with. And so before I joined band, though, I was a young musician playing, piano initially and playing percussion with my parents at certain gospel gigs, and then later I did a lot of jazz gigs. And so my education was like basically Monday through Friday. I was in grade school. I was playing in band as a euphoniumist, and then later tuba, and then on the weekends or sometimes throughout the week, I would be playing jazz piano and gospel piano and things like that. And then now I can just it's a thing where I can just kind of pick up things really easily. I don't have any classical training, but I have this ear that can kind of pick up different kinds of music. So I'm trying to expand that now, actually, to play new music, to play classical, trying to learn some things, and still keeping up my chops as a jazz piano player.
Well, what's incredible at a young age, you are 25 years old and you have written 150 works. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're getting closer to 200, but yes,
Wow.
we're getting
Wow.
closer.
That's amazing. And your pieces have been performed by major orchestras across the country, but around the world, in Russia, in Japan as well. So kudos to you. That's fantastic. You have such an incredible energy to write so much music already.
Thank you. It's what I'm passionate about, and I when I was trying to decide where my life was going to go, initially I thought I was going to go down one path and just be a performer. And I ultimately, the times I should have been practicing, I was composing till like 3 a.m. till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then getting up for my theory class or my ear training class. And so I just I that was and is my escape, and oftentimes my refuge. And so I just love composing. I love trying to come up with new ideas, and I also just love collaborating with incredible musicians.
Well, I want to ask you, has your artistry or your approach to writing changed over the last 18 months?
The last 18 months, yes, it has. It crazy enough, like 2019 was my busiest year traveling. Like I felt like I was on a plane every other week in 2019. I was going to different places, and then when 2020 came, and I had one last premiere that happened at the North American Saxophone Alliance conference in Tempe, Arizona. I got back to Atlanta, and that's when everything started to shut down, and that's when the lockdowns took place. So it drastically threw off my commission schedule. It threw off everything, because everyone didn't know like what was going to happen. So it was definitely a point where I had to kind of step back, and I had to reevaluate how I'm doing things, why I'm doing things, and I had to do a lot of reflection and just introspection during that time. So there was a lot of pieces during that time frame that sort of came out of this process. So I'm still sort of in that vein now, although I'm writing things where I'm trying to blend things from my background together more, and just trying to see what else I can kind of come up with. So I'm really excited for what's coming, for the pieces that are going to be happening
Well, tell us a little bit
soon.
about that. What are some future commissions or projects that you have in the pipeline?
Yeah, so right now, once again, mostly due to the pandemic, most of my work has kind of shifted from mostly doing wind band pieces and orchestra pieces to doing more chamber stuff. So I have a lot of chamber pieces that are coming for various instrumentations and for various groups. And but the piece I'm most excited about is probably it is the largest work that I've ever composed to date, and it's a concerto for wind ensemble. And this piece is a 25 to 30-minute long composition. It's 5 movements long, and so this piece was in the works before the pandemic began. And so it's a piece where I intentionally like merge the music of my childhood with the wind band medium. And I'm just really excited for this piece. There's 23 schools that are on this consortium that are going to be playing this, and the premiere is supposed to be taking place this September. So I'm really thrilled.
What's it called? I'm curious. What's the piece called?
The piece is called Concerto for Wind Ensemble. So that's the name of the work. And the last there are concertos for wind ensemble. There's concertos for wind orchestra. Really famous pieces, and so this is sort of me kind of just being as authentic as I know how, and that's the only thing I can do, and just sort of contributing to these other concerti written for the medium.
Yes. Well, there's one piece that I'm really fascinated, and I'd love to program sometime is the Manhattan Nights. This one.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it reminds me so much of Gershwin, jazz, but also you have this incredible talent, again, like you were saying, to write genuinely of who you are. And I hear that in this piece. So
Hmm,
I just think you're extremely talented, and
thank
just
you.
want to encourage you to keep writing uh, for
Thank
bigger
you.
orchestras and larger ensembles.
Yeah, Manhattan Nights was one of my first orchestral pieces, actually. And so uh, I had submitted that to this contest with the Philadelphia Youth Orchestra with Luis Scaglione as the conductor. And so they did that piece in 2018. I ended up winning this competition with them. And yeah, it was the first piece where I was trying to mix genres and mix jazz and mix all these different sounds in my head and try to figure it out. So yeah, I'm glad that you like the piece. It's a piece that I really enjoyed writing.
And what's interesting now that you have written 150, almost 200 pieces, you are going to pursue a doctorate in composition. Is that right?
Yes. So where life has gone, I have a bachelor's in music performance from TCU, where I was on tuba and euphonium and jazz piano, and then now I'm getting ready to complete a master's in composition at the University of Georgia. And for my last degree, I'm happy to say I will be going to the University of Miami Frost School of Music for my DMA in composition. And so I'm really thrilled to get to go down to Florida. I've never been to a beach. I've never, I'm a Texas boy. I don't know anything about beaches, but I'm really excited for this next chapter.
Wow, we wish you all the best of luck. Best of
Thank
luck
you.
with that. So I want to ask you what you would like to share with young composers today. First of all, I have to say everyone should look at your website because it is a dream for conductors to look through and listen to everything and see the instrumentation. I say young composers follow Kevin's website guideline because that's very instrumental, really key to, really getting your music played. So
Thank you.
bravo to you. So what would you say to young composers today?
Definitely the website thing is important, and the newest website that took a while for me to do because I had a website that I made when I was an undergrad and I ended up keeping it for a long time. I didn't make many changes to it, and then late last year I was talking to my manager and I was just like, okay, I need to get a better look. I need to freshen things up a bit, and so we decided to go with this new website, and I'm really thrilled that you enjoy it. It's a website that I made in collaboration with my manager, and so that's the whole thing with websites is I wanted to make it easy for people to navigate, to listen to see where the instrumentation is, where to buy it, where to purchase it, perusal scores, all that stuff. So I'm hoping to continue to add to that. So yeah, that's really important. The other thing I think is just when I was first beginning out composing, I was writing a lot of my music for my friends. So I was writing for people who I trusted, who I could, who would be honest with me. Before I started getting comfortable putting things like on social media and in the internet, because I was actually quite scared at first because I was just like, oh, well, what if people don't like it and all that stuff. And eventually, like now, I just get to the point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna put it out there. If people are receptive to it, great. If not, okay, that's fine. Because I think I've gotten to the point now where I understand that music and musical tastes are subjective in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So just being comfortable or getting to the point where you are comfortable, once you can write for your friends, then writing for people who you don't know, and being comfortable sort of sharing that music with the outside world. So those are two really important things that have helped me.